All right, we'll call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is to welcome Jennifer McBride,
Northeast Minnesota Business.
the Chamber Director. Thank you for being here with us, and you're on the agenda. Also, the welcome back,
Yes, thank you.
Representative Scraba, and we'll enjoy an update from the Minnesota legislature. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. The first item is to approve the agenda. Do we have any additions, deletions, corrections?
I'll move.
We have a motion.
Second?
We have a second. Motion by Councilor Kaler, second by Mayor Dill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good, thank you. Next item is the minutes from April 21st. Any additions, deletions, corrections, suggestions?
They look good to me. I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Roach. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Next we have the Treasurer's report from Treasurer Kaler.
All right, first I have the cold weather testing financials. There's a transfer of $15,000 to the KETA account. Everything looked in order, and I would move to approve the agenda or the financials.
All right. Any questions? The Treasurer Kaler.
Yeah, question. Everything good, current? Money ahead, money behind?
Money behind, well, that's why we're
mean,
transferring a little over to KETA, but yeah, I mean,
Is that normal?
yeah, it's normal. Everything's normal. What's going on this time of year? We got some receipts waiting to come in, but
That's, if I could,
yeah,
a lot of the revenue that we're going to receive at this point in time comes from the activity from our testing groups. And some of the terms on those testing groups are not 30 days there. So
Right.
by the time they're done testing, we invoice them. It can be up to 120 days. So, I mean, the timing is a little clumsy, but that's, yeah.
Right.
So there's
It's
no
just-
delay.
right.
It's like
That's good, yeah.
the business, it's just normal.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Any other questions? All those in favor of the acknowledging the cold weather testing report, say aye.
Aye. All right.
Opposed? Thank you. Continue, please.
All right, then we got the KETA financials. Same. Everything looked in order. You know, I would recommend accepting them.
Support.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Question? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Treasurer Taylor. The next item is from our guest, Jennifer McBride from the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for being here, and begin, please.
Okay. My name is JJ McBride, Jennifer officially, but most people know me as JJ. I'm the Executive Director of the International Falls Area Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for the opportunity for letting me speak here today. A little bit about me. I was born and raised right here in International Falls. I'm a Falls High graduate. I continued my education at Rainy River Community College and Lake Superior College before returning home to begin my career at the local radio station here, KGHS KSDM. I spent nearly 20 years there working in sales and on-air talent before stepping into my current role with the chamber that I started in mid-February. While I was ready for a new professional career, it was important for me to stay connected to the local business community and the incredible people of International Falls and the surrounding area. I felt this role was the perfect next step. In addition to my work at the Chamber, I've also been the head coach of the International Falls Bronco Girls Swim and Dive team since the fall of 2020, and it's a role I plan on keeping for the foreseeable future. As your executive director, my mission is to support and promote our local businesses and lead initiatives that strengthen our community and foster an environment where businesses and residents alike can thrive. Though I'm still very much in the learning phase, I've already identified a few areas where we can improve, and one of those is we need for a comprehensive, easy-to-use community calendar event. I looked everywhere right when I started, and there was not much going on for an event calendar. And so after some research and discussion with our marketing director, Erica Gearhart, we decided to implement the Yodel event calendar. It uses AI technology to gather information on events that are going on with our members from social media and websites. We had hoped to launch it by now, but you know how things go. So we're aiming for a June rollout. We believe it's going to be a valuable tool for both the chamber members and the community. At our last board meeting, we discussed the future of business after hours. After careful consideration, we agreed that the executive board and I will have a separate meeting to further discuss this and other events that may need some revamping. As of now, we're unsure if there's going to be a summer business after hours. Looking ahead, we've set the date for Crazy Days. It's July 30th, so I'm planning that. Additionally, I have a few other ideas for new events that I think could bring a fresh energy to our business community and foster stronger connections with the community. While those are still very much in the early stages, I hope to bring them to life over the next year as I continue to grow in this role. Once again, thank you for letting me come here and speak, and I'm excited about the future, and I look forward to collaborating with all of you and the businesses and residents of this area. So if anybody has any questions, I'm here.
Well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just curious about membership. I know that maybe the wrong word is kerfuffle, but there's been turnover. Do you have individual memberships as well as the business?
Yes, yep. Individual memberships are $55 a year. And we have about, I want to say, 10 individual members right now. I have been talking to a few people, and I think I'm getting about 7 to 10 individual memberships over the next month or so, that people just want to be involved and know what's going on with the chamber, and they just believe in, the local community and businesses. So right now, along with working towards the Crazy Days event, I have been out trying to get individual members and members back or new members on that are businesses.
Yeah. 55, is that what you said?
$55, yes.
And I can tell you that as an individual member, it's well worth it.
One of the 10.
And then I can tell you that, I live 40 miles away. The chamber has an impact on my neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
So, big deal.
Yes,
Chair.
Representative Straub.
Yes, it's weird going from the legislature where it's like, Chair, can I speak to this person? Yes, you may. And then going to this where it's just kind of a free for all.
I know. They aren't very attentive to the chair here.
We're kind of a loose group.
I think the chair needs to gavel more and say, hey. No, don't do that. How has the kerfuffle between Canada and the United States affected I Falls?
Our members have not said too much to us about it. We've been getting a lot of phone calls from different newspapers from all over the states asking if we will release a statement about it. The board said do not get involved with it because our members are on both sides of the spectrum here. So Just talking to people though, I do believe that there are less Canadians coming over right now, but hopefully that will change. But nobody has really talked to me about it, expressed any super concerns as of right now.
Does the summer influx of summer residents, both in Canada and the U.S., do the numbers around your community grow? You know,
Yes.
I know what happens in Ely, where I'm from. You know, again, I use the COVID as an example. Everything was shut down, and Ely becomes a petri dish because there was everyone from all over the country coming, getting away from that whatever they were getting away from. But the numbers of people just went through the roof, and then it settled down. Back to normal. I don't know where you guys are.
Yeah, well, so I'm in an office with the CVB, and I have a great relationship with Katrina Heibel, who is the executive director there. And she's sending out information on the area and lodging and resorts nonstop. People call the chamber all the time thinking that they're talking to the CVB. So I don't believe that there's going to be any kind of decline because of what's going on right now. Just based off of how many people we talked to. Yesterday we had 3 people come in, one from Alabama, Louisiana, and Tennessee. They were just up here because they wanted to see the park. They wanted to, go on the bog walk. They wanted to just kind of see Smokey Bear, So I don't think it's going to have, I hope it doesn't have any effect on it, but as of right now, I don't see it.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, formal recognition. Well, JJ, thanks for coming in. I think you're a really good fit, given your past sales. You know a lot of the businesses and have worked with them, and you're from here, so you always have a good feel for what's. And the chamber's gone through a lot. Like I think a lot of chambers have in different communities as things evolve over time. But it's kind of an event-driven organization, and we've had a good relationship. When I say we, Key to Board, just collaborating with trying to find different speakers or ways to promote businesses or trends. Communication is a big one, as you said. The community calendar. We've been working on that for years and can never come up with the right. So I'm hoping you're successful there and being able to pass along information, because we're down to a newspaper that's just once a week. So that's. But in terms of the event, one of the things, and I know because you're involved in some of these, like. Icebox days and crazy days, is you still need volunteers for these things to work, and I think that just becomes harder over time. People age out and they just get and part of that too is you lose some of the energy or different perspectives because you've always done things. So I know that's a real challenge for a lot of organizations. It's just finding volunteers to help support. You know how much it takes to put these things on, and people just think, oh yeah, it's just gonna, it's a week preparation and you're ready to go. But it's not. So.
So I had a meeting with Superintendent Beth Shermone about a month and a half ago, and she said that if we are looking for volunteers, that I can, type something up for her, and she can blast it out to parents, students, teachers, to see if we can't get some volunteers like from that age group. And I very much plan on using my team to volunteer for a lot of events that are coming up, because when I was growing up, my parents drilled it into my head, volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. And so that's what I'm trying to do with these girls on my team. There's about 25 to 30, depending on the year, telling them it's a good thing to volunteer and to be involved. It looks good on your resume, So I'm hoping that we do get more volunteers that way. And then I just feel like with my connections that I've had with the radio station, I will be able to get more volunteers to help with the bigger events, especially Icebox Days, because that is huge.
I'd touch on Icebox. Icebox is an example of how different organizations work together to make events successful. Like, we kind of piggybacked at the Elks with our super troops during Icebox Days, and that's because of that has become a very successful event for us. I mean, we've raised the last couple of years this is just a few hours on a Saturday, $1,000 for veterans. People come in, sample soups, but we decided to have it on the first week in icebox games when people are out walking around, so it kind of so people come down for that and do other things, or they come from other things to go there, and it's worked out really good for us for that.
Kind of does both.
Yeah.
You bring people
Yeah.
to your event, which goes
Yeah.
to their event,
Yeah.
but their event has people moving. They use your event, so it's a good time to marry those kind of things together.
And I can remember one year it was plenty originally cold too. It all worked together.
Any other questions? Yes.
No, thank you, Mr. Chair. One of your services that I take advantage of all the time, and I'm suggesting the rest of you should, because you always have somebody that you don't know what to buy for, but you have to buy them something. Well, Chamber Bucks is just outstanding. If you give them a $20 or a $50 or a $100 gift, how many options do they have to
Oh
shop?
goodness, there's a lot. I don't know off the top of my head, but most of our members accept them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just a wonderful deal, and I would suggest that if you have a hard to buy for, it's a good deal.
Yeah, because they have a bunch of different choices. It's just not a gift card for, one store. They can choose where they want to go.
Yeah.
So, and we have been selling a lot of those right now, so that's good.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Ms. McBride, JJ.
Thank you. Do you want me to stay? You want me to go?
It's up to, this is the fun stuff now. No, no, it's entirely up to you. I wouldn't, it's
Okay.
depending on how
Okay.
you
All
guys.
right. Yeah. No, I have some things I need to send out. So, thank you so much. And if you need me back, or if anything comes up where I feel like I need to talk to the board, I'll reach out to you and get on an agenda for a meeting.
Yeah, I look forward to that. Anytime we can work together on anything. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for having me. Everybody have a great day.
Yeah.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next item is the Director's Report. Director Nevenin.
Mr. Chair, thank you, and thank you, Representative Straba. I know you have a busy schedule, and you've got a lot going on, and fires, and
I don't know what the schedule is, to be honest with you.
legislature, and fires, and everything else in between. So thank you for being with us. A couple things I want to touch on. Our friend Felix Asamoah, the gentleman that's trying to develop the rail-served warehouse here. We've been working for quite some time on that, but he's going to be here tomorrow. And he continues to, I don't want to say struggle, that's too hard a word, but he's putting together his financing package for the main 60,000 square foot warehouse project and associated activity. And so in the meantime, he's, as part of his wearing his sales hat, he's talking to a lot of folks that would ultimately be using the facility. Some of them would like to start sending containers here. So he's trying to put together a nimble, temporary site to receive containers. To number one, get some activity into the zone, because he'll have to activate the zone, which is a process unto itself. And two, kind of prove out the economics that this will work if you can project out, and especially given the tariff situation, which I'll touch on in a moment, that people are looking for solutions to during this period. So he's going to be here tomorrow. Be talking with customs folks. He's going to be talking with the MD&W Railroad as well as the city, because he does want to modify his plan somewhat. He wants to keep them up to speed on what he's doing. So, and I always encourage when he's able to be here to continue to develop his plan. So, there was an FTZ webinar. I mentioned it last meeting, but it was last month when it was sponsored by DEED, and it was entitled Navigating Rising Tariffs, How Minnesota's FTZs Can Help Your Bottom Line. Very timely, given, again, these tariffs that have been brought front and center to not only consumers, businesses, but I mean it is a global activity. They had a presenter that talked about what FTZs can do to help overcome some of the challenges with these tariffs, and some of the mechanics of how that works. And it's interesting. There had like over 200, I think like 200 people, 247 people registered for the event. And what was nice was all three FTZs were represented in the presentation, and that's a big thing too. Just understanding the program and getting awareness out there that there's 3 foreign trade zones, and how they work. And so we're hoping that out of that there'll be some inquiries as to what's happening here in International Falls. It's also interesting too, and agree, disagree, how this current administration is going through this tariff. But when they outline the discrepancies in what other countries charge the U.S., I think a lot of people was an eye-opener as to how unbalanced things are. Is this the right way to change that? I don't know. In the end, it'll take time to determine that. But it is also interesting to see how reliant we are on certain countries for certain things. I mean, and China, and how much of this globalization has turned China into the main provider of a lot of things that we use every day and take for granted. And now it's going to affect cost, and so it's affecting everybody in the pocketbook. And so I don't know ultimately where it goes. But it'll be interesting to see over time what happens. But it is certainly encouraging a lot of discussion in and around international trade, and I think it's a reminder too that we do live globally. Sometimes I think we think we're remote up here and we're isolated, but we're all connected here. So anyway, that's my speech. A couple other things into school. We continue to help play a role in at least marketing the former into school. Now that the power's been turned off, correct, Mike? And we met with the superintendent several occasions. Been to the building a number of times, and the state deed has a contract with a company that provides a platform to list properties and buildings and greenfield properties for development that other site selectors, other people from outside or even internally can look at on this website and see what's available out there for buildings. So I did add the into school onto that website to try to give us greater reach. And I know we're going to have some discussion with potential something that wants to talk about the school. So I forgot to bring it in here. International Falls Housing, that Bolton and Mank, the city's engineering firm, created a draft document, conceptual housing developments in the city. We've talked about this in the past. They have a draft document that I think they're going to formally present to the council in June, basically outlining the need and highlighting 3 different areas within the city for development for housing, and 3 different types of housing for each of those areas. And with that, some costs associated with bringing in infrastructure, so that a developer could say, okay, this is kind of what's available. Here's what it would take, and then what role the city would play working with the developer. I would hope that, and I look forward to being part of that discussion when Bolton and Mank creates this, is to try to identify some potential developers. If you go on the internet and look up housing developers in Minnesota, 99.9% of them are in the 7-county metro. We don't really have any developers. There's a few in Duluth and Brainerd Lakes area and Fargo, Moorhead area, but there's very few actually developers that can come in, take a big chunk of property and put in a subdivision, or even multiple homes. We've got good home builders in the area, and but we don't have any developers. And I'd like to try to identify a few and put the document in front of them and say, what do you think? I know our geography sometimes is a challenge for those folks, but I think it's a good start, at least to identify and create more interest in these areas. And we'll see where it goes. But and lastly, just want to touch on, I included in your packets an article from the Star Trib, it's Minnesota Tribune now, about wetlands, and the current administration is looking to actually. I know a big push for the administration is to look at the regulatory environment that is creating some challenges for a lot of states. And wetlands is certainly something that we're familiar with here in terms of being a challenge because of how much wetlands that we're involved with up here. And it looks like they're going to try to, once and for all, kind of define waters of the U.S. and more importantly, decide who's got jurisdiction over those waters. And that's created a lot of confusion out there. And the reason I bring this up too is even in the document that Bolton made for the city's housing, the one area that I think lends itself best to single family is that Crab Pier area, and wetlands are a big part of that whole area. And it's going to cost somebody if they develop that. And I know the city has a small wetlands bank, but even the Rainy Lake Medical Center, looking at their new property on the river there, wetlands are going to be, and already have been, a big part of the discussion and cost in order to remedy developing in the wetlands. And they don't really provide too many financial incentives in the areas that are so heavy on wetlands. I wish there was some mechanism where the state could provide some offset. I know we have the scenic and wildlife area in the county, I don't know if those counties receive any funding for basically putting a fence around chunks of real estate that you can't develop, but much like, I don't know if they're, and I don't know if this federal designation. I talked to Bowser after this in the local soil and water just to see if they felt that it would change anything locally or in the county and state. And Bowser gals didn't think it would really provide much difference in how they approach wetlands currently. So I guess to be determined, but it's going to be an ongoing conversation for sure. So with that, I will answer any questions.
Any questions for Director Nevin?
Felix will be here tomorrow.
Felix will be here tomorrow. Will you be available in the morning? Mm-hmm. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the additions from our members, and we'll begin with Mayor Dill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Quite a few city updates. I'll start with Fort Francis because we've had some discussion on, what do the impacts look like here locally with tariffs or a trade war, however we want to recognize it. Summer tourist season going to Canada looks strong so far. Definitely see a reduction in Ontarians coming to this side, but now, as of a couple days ago, I've heard rumors that maybe some of their tariffs are being relaxed. I don't know how credible that is or not. I've been meaning to get on the computer and see if I can find something stronger, but Mayor Halikas and I are signing a joint document, and we have invited the news outlets and the media, and preliminarily we would like to sign it in between Canada Day and the 4th of July to kind of encircle the importance of our communities working together and to the extent that we can. So, 4th of July, moving on, is in the works for our celebration. And the band shell, I think there might have been a committee meeting on the band shell this morning.
There was, we started, yeah, the preliminary, yeah.
So that's certainly going on. Yesterday, had the pleasure to zoom in to a meeting in Washington with several local stakeholders in the gateway communities surrounding Voyagers Park. Karen Bud Phelan, who's the Associate Deputy Secretary of the Interior in Doug Burgum's office, hosted it, and Jeff was there. And we discussed many of the issues currently going on in Voyagers Park. One big issue for all of our communities was the frozen surface plan and the effects that could have, particularly on Lake Habitogama. The whole NEPA process that encapsulates how that would have moved forward has been terminated, and certainly as a citizen thank Superintendent DeGrosse for that. Certainly looking at some other things to foster growth and usage of the park in the way that the founders of it envisioned. So one more thing about Karen Bud Phelan, the Associate Deputy Secretary of the Interior, is she is an attorney from Big Piney, Wyoming, which has battled with our city over the title of the icebox of the nation. So we can add that to the saga. Right now it's Colorado is always in the paper, and
Yes.
Fraser.
Fraser. So
Big Pine.
anyway, I know that Councillor Kaler has a few items as well, so pass the baton here.
Sure I do, yes. But talk to we had our first committee meeting today about the band shell. Everybody, you drive by, you can't help but notice it. And it's got to this, finally we got some, not necessarily a total amount, but a go-ahead amount from our insurance that we can start looking at things. The first thing we're gonna do is knock down what's left up there now. Hopefully that'll be done by 4th of July for the celebration. And we're going to meet again in June and start looking and talking about maybe some different ideas of what we're going to have there. So finally we're moving ahead on that. And I have something to piggyback on yours, but that was 5 minutes ago. How am I supposed to remember that, for God's sake?
CRS syndrome.
Yeah, you got that right. Yep, and part of, and I mentioned part of the reason with the housing development too, and to help the developers, if depending on how that goes, is hopefully there's some utility money that we can get from the state to help with putting in utilities, which is a big part of any development process. So yeah, we're looking in deeper how we're going to move on from that. Like you said, we're having that meeting, I believe, in June, just which way we want to go. But it's good to have an idea. Hopefully it isn't one of those that just sit there, but we thought it was also good, to finally get something moving, because we've been talking about stuff for years around here. And as a matter, we are going to have a special election regarding our utilities street garage. It's going to be in August, I think, still 12th. I think we got the info there. But I just like this, but that's how it's supposed to work, right? People aren't happy. They got their petition. Now we're going to have the election, let everybody have a say. So that's how this whole thing's supposed to work. So we'll see how that goes. And like I said, the 4th of July is coming. Sounds like we've got a couple good concerts coming back, sponsoring one at the amphitheater. Then ours is July 3rd downtown. Always the night of the concert down there. And I think they're getting the fireworks everywhere together. Like the mayor said, the committee's been working hard. The people that have been volunteering and helping with that. Like we were just talking earlier, it takes a lot of people to put the 4th of July on. And I'll give another shout out on the radio in June when I'm there. If you want a longer parade, well, by God, don't come tell me you want a longer parade. put yourself afloat in there, and there you go. We got ourselves a longer parade then. So we're always up for ideas and suggestions. So, and on June 25th, I get a plug in for the Koochiching County Warrior. They're still going to have the annual fishing trip out of Thunderbird. We got boats as of now from Voyager Outfitters. They always donate some boats, and other people help when we get more info on that. But if people want to go, they can call the Veteran Service Officers. There's no limit to how many we'll take. The more we'll just get more boats, and it's a good time. It's growing every year, little bit by little bit, and you know, the guys go out with fellow veterans. They get a chance to connect what it's all about. Try to help some veteran connectedness, and further along, hopefully help with some other issues. But they leave about 9, come back around noon, have lunch at the lodge, and visit, and have a very good time. So I'd encourage any veterans out there that are watching to take part in it. And one more final thing that's kind of under the radar for town here, but me and Ricky are also on the Koochiching board, and we are in the process of finding a new executive director. Ours resigned at the end of the year, and we're moving through there. Retired. I said resigned. Yeah. She's not there anymore. But then she had been there a lot of years, so we're getting close to finding somebody for that, because Koochiching does a lot of community action in town that people aren't aware of, not the least of which is Head Start. So we're in the process of that, and hopefully by tomorrow we'll have a couple candidates narrowed down. Just thought it was something we should know in town here, what's going on though. And that's who's involved with the AB project and all kinds of things.
Was that Scarlett?
No, that's not Scarlett. Scarlett's the head of housing now.
Yep.
Oh.
Housing director. She took over for Isaac, who's moved on to somewhere else, but I think he still has his nose in there sometimes in meeting. Which is another thing, you know, it didn't start out housing, but it's one of those things that is just part of become Koochiching and community action with housing issues, especially for low income. So that's all I got. Oh, and the ball fields were full last night. Summer's here. Drove by, took a look at the Little League,
And if I may, if you want to be in the parade, you got to call me. Apparently, I'm supposed.
Oh, you're the Marine.
I
I
got
saw
the list.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Don't worry. If you just call City Hall, or they'll get the name to the right person.
So if Keto wants a float,
Yeah, there you go. Well, you could put your truck in the antique car section, huh?
Yeah. Any questions for Councilor Taylor or Mayor Dill? Thank you. We'll move on to the county, Commissioner Rhodes.
Well, we've got our jail still on track. Hopefully that will be up and running by November. They figured they'll turn it over to us in September or October, well, probably the middle of October, to get us our final walkthrough and get all of our stuff set so we can do a move over at that time. Everything's been going actually pretty good on that end. Mayor Dill and the county, we sat down and chatted about bringing the law enforcement over to our old building, which is still in the works. We're still talking with the city and the county are talking back and forth, so that's all looking pretty good. Working together, save taxpayers money.
They were putting windows in yesterday, it looked like, over there.
At the jail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a concept.
Yeah, they're finishing up garage doors, windows. They had a load of doors that for the jail doors that the semi rolled over, caught fire. Good thing nobody was killed, nobody was injured. All the doors had to go back to Pennsylvania and get all rechecked and certified that everything was good, and they had to touch a couple up. But our doors finally showed up here last week, so everything is moving along. Nice thing about it is the doors can be put in absolutely last, so it never halted any of the construction for the jail.
Professionally speaking and experience-wise, jails are very important, or doors are very important in a jail.
Yes, they are. keeps the people on the right side.
Any other questions? Any questions?
Just curious, like, I drive by and I see the army of people working there. Any idea how many people in a given day are working on that project? Because it's
I would take a guess, probably between 75 and 100.
That's what I was gonna
a
say.
lot of people there.
There's a lot of moving. You got the plumbers, you got the electricians, you got the carpenters, you got the roofers, and it's all one big moving. Everybody's in sync with each other. So
Then add another whatever, putting the roof on that porcelain and doing that work.
well, they finished the county or the jail, so they moved right from the jail right to the public health building. So they're moving right down the line. So it worked out really good.
There's a lot of lunches in town.
Huh?
It's a lot of lunches in town that are
Yes.
sold.
Yes, it is.
Put 100 people around, 20% of them, 20 more people going out about getting their lunch, or 30 people. That's
Income.
every day. That's a lot.
Yep.
Any
Yes, it
other
is.
questions, comments? We'll move on to Citizen Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I noticed in the Kita bills that there's a membership to an organization in Northome called Northern Progressive. And I don't know how old they are, but it's they slightly changed their name, but it's probably 50 years old. They put on the fair. They do a lot of other organizational things right in the community. And credit to Paul is he makes a lot of their monthly meetings. So, Paul keeps his finger on what's going on there. They get a lot of support from around the surrounding area, not just the community itself. Even North Itasca Electric is there every month. When I chatted with the clerk this week, I got the impression I was going to get some surprises next month. So they said things are pretty quiet there. Big Falls is going to start a new event, and it's going to be centered around their park. And I don't know how many of you have been that way and seen their pavilion,
That's nice.
but it's going to be Pavilion Days. And what it all entails, they're gonna let me know soon. In Little Fork, lots of stuff going on. The joint powers agreement between the city of Little Fork and the school district has gotten dissolved. And an organization, CERC, I don't know what that acronym's.
Yeah, it's been around for a
Yeah,
long time.
there's back to school, and the community gardening program is going to be handled by the Little Fork Lutheran Church. The commodity supplemental food box program is going to be handled by the city of Little Fork. And if you want something that you can't find, on June 7th there's a citywide sale, garage sale. So guaranteed that if you go there, you're going to find something either A, you can't afford, or B, you gotta have.
Yeah.
So I like to, think about that. And the big thing through all summer is the all-school reunion is going to start June 19th, and it runs for 3 days through June 22nd, and there'll be a lot of publicity about it. So they're busy in Little Fork. In Birchdale, there's never a down day. Lots of things going on. We had the walleye spring fishing extravaganza, and for those of you who know how long the road is from Highway 11 to the Birchdale boat ramps, the cars were all the way back to the highway and then on both sides of the highway. And not just there, but also at Frontier and at Clemson, Minnesota. It's just, the impact is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the early part of sturgeon season saw the parks full. So that's a big deal. And maybe Representative Scrava mentioned this when I first came in, that there was a potential state record caught over by Burdett about 3 weeks ago. And I know without question that there are bigger fish than was caught there, and it was like 78 and a half or something. And I had a neighbor last week tell me that he was out fishing with a relative. They got a fish on, and the fish fought hard for a couple minutes. He said, "We better pull the anchor." The guy said, "Nah, we're not gonna do that. I got a 100-pound test on." And he was fighting the fish, and all of a sudden everything went limp, and when they reeled it in, that little hook was straightened out. So what kind of fish is in there? It's there.
Kind of we're not going to swim in.
Paul touched on the end of school, and of course most of the people where I live kind of decry the idea that the power's turned off. So we'll just see where it goes. Paul mentioned that we've been in there a number of times, and I've met with the superintendent, and he's been very gracious. And the place looks like it's brand new inside, doesn't it, Paul? So we're going to see where it goes. We're also setting up a meeting, and I was hoping by today that we could tell you that we've got a meeting with Minn-Kota Power. They've appointed a economic developer that's going to work in their territory. And their territory goes from Fargo through half of Dakota and into Minnesota. And the initial conversations, and we haven't had a formal meeting, are that they'll put it out and add some issues that we haven't talked about, or get it into some folks' eyeballs that will never see it. So, and a lot of it's hopefully going to be either in an industrial or something that can be used. They firmly kind of believe that, well, most people think it's a difficulty is where it's located, and that does cause some. On the other hand, they think that because of where it's located, it's just the ideal spot. We just got to search and find the right person. There's been a big changeover in volunteership where I live. A lot of the folks like me are stepping aside, and I'm pleased to tell you that there's some really qualified younger folks stepping in. And while there might be some changes in what they celebrate and the events, I'm confident that it's in good hands. The 4th of July, and Kyra can correct me if I'm wrong, the theme is early aeronautics. So I'm kind of looking for a conical hat and a broom, if anybody has one. What else do we have, Paul? I want to really thank Representative Scrava. He was available anytime I wanted to chat with him this year, and the fact that he comes up here and looks like the rest of us is a big deal. And so I wanted to thank him for what he's done, and I know there's a few, you got a special session coming.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Mike.
The only other thing I have, and I brought this up last month, is we're flexible, but due to our little rules of order, we have 2 out-county meetings coming, and I'd like to have them in Big Falls and Birchdale this year. And I guess it's up to you guys to decide when. And when you do pick a date for Birchdale, come getting ready for lunch too.
Any questions?
But this, last year I drove from Birchdale International Falls and dropped off at Cary Park. Mm-hmm. And there were so many people there. I was one of the first people there, and I was still in line. And now they're going the entire county, and on the 29th, May 29th, yep. Birchdale, Loman, and Little Fork. So there must be people with garages full of stuff.
And that was full. We had trailers. We had to bring in a second trailer last year to pick that stuff up and haul it away.
Yep.
Yeah,
They were just overwhelmed,
yeah.
response.
So we're pleased at that. And the folks who are running it and doing it, they have gone out of their way to help the rural area. And they've done it in more than one community, but in Birchdale they gave away 30 laptops. Or 18 laptops? 18 laptops. Folks came, spent 2 days, 2 evenings with them, and walked out with a new laptop.
It's Koochiching technology.
And we're talking right now, I'm talking with them about coming back and answering some of the questions, because a number of the folks who got them really didn't have much background in them, and they just wanted to kind of touch base, and if there was any questions they had, or if they can just kind of advance what they know, they're going to do that.
So he's saying they just know enough like the rest of us will get in trouble with them now, so they need to know.
Be dangerous.
Well, yeah, be dangerous, yeah.
What it really means is there's people there that got laptops that never would have had any,
Yeah,
ever. So it's an initiation process, but we got to thank them big time. It's just wonderful what they've done for the rural area.
And Corey Horton from Koochiching
Yeah.
Technology joined me down at the last Northland Progressive meeting in Northland last month to talk about programs, and she's going to do some outreach there as well.
So that's what's going on in the rural area, and I expect as summer moves on, there'll be more.
And do we have any other questions for?
Well, if they do, make them easy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Representative Scraba,
Yes,
you have an update from?
I do. I just had a text to Senator. We're hot and heavy on negotiations right now, and I would have stepped out of the room, but I want to take care of this first. I mean, it's like instant now. We're dealing in minutes, not hours anymore. We're trying to get a deal done by tonight, so we can have a special session tomorrow. If we can't do that, then who knows? Who knows because I can tell you both caucuses, Democrat and Republican, there's members that are going to Europe next week. They're going in June. They're going to Europe. They're going all over the world. And it's like, you can't go. You got to be here. Want to bet? And when you have a tie, there's no room for slough. Unless, if you're a Democrat and I'm a Republican, hey, you going? I'm going. Now, there's still a tie. But, you try to plan it so you don't hurt each other. But at the same time, it's our job and we have to be there. But and I won't say why we're running late, because that's just natural. Everyone knows. But I do want to talk just a little bit about this. In the legislature, we have a group trying to, some people call it a cord tax. Any electronic that, has to have recycled. What we're trying to do is pass a bill that the manufacturer pays up front. So when you bring let's say I buy a printer, and a printer is $100, and it's going to be 3% for this tax for the e-waste, and the state collects this 3%, which is $3, and you do that a bunch of times, and pretty soon you got a lot of hundreds of millions of dollars. But who gets to use that are the landfills, the people that collect them. They can go back and get money instead of the county taxpayer paying for it in their thing. It would go to this pre-tax. And the reason I bring this up is when it first came out, I was like, yeah, I'm for it. And then I saw how much money was going to come out of the economy. And I'm like, can we go a little smaller? I mean, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars taken out of the economy. And it may not sound like a lot. It seems like you could. It's the right thing to do. Perhaps it was too big. The gal that runs it, came back with a smaller number this year. And it didn't get much traction because the business community is like, no, we're paying too much already. Stop this madness. We don't want to do it. I look at this. You all were like, man, the lines were huge. Everything was. There's this perception, when it says free e-waste collection. Okay, free. Everyone knows nothing's free. Someone's paying somewhere something. But I think what's gotten more traction than free e-waste are people thinking, you know what, I don't want to throw this in the dump.
Yeah.
I want to do the responsible thing. Well, in the metro area, the responsible thing is you pay for it. It's not free, because if you put your printer out, they collect so many. Sometimes it's like $20 for a piece of e-waste, and it's kind of like, dang, I wouldn't mind paying $3 instead, But so we're trying to educate people to see how to get something like this done. I liked it because it did relieve the greater Minnesota folks from the landfills, the waste. If we could get a reimbursement, you're not going to make money on it. You're going to get reimbursed for what you put back. So it's not a bad idea. Again, it's a tax increase. Sometimes that's hard to swallow, but when it goes to if you look at, yes, it increases the tax here, but it decreases the tax here. So net gain is here. So it's just saying it might be coming. Housing, y'all were talking about housing. We had $60 million in this year's housing. Rural Minnesota got $40 million of the 60, and then it went to conference committee and it came out with $16 million. 1/6 for the whole state. Kind of a big dud. It's barely covering. Again, the Metro last year passed a tax in the 7-county Metro, to collect on the sales tax for housing. So they're game, set, match. They're going to have hundreds of millions of dollars down there for that. We're not going to get any of it, Greater Minnesota. So we that's why we went with the 40-20 split this year, thinking, we'll get caught up a little bit from what they're going to have. But because of the budget cuts, they went to housing and said, no, we're going to take some of that money. And that's the big picture. Veterans, the veterans support, I don't know where it is. I think it's through, but I got a bill passed, and it's in the environment bill, to if you're a disabled vet, your ATV is free. There's no license. You don't have to pay for the license. You get a license still, but it's not free. I know we're trying to get veterans fishing and hunting licenses after a certain age and a disability. That's free. That's part of this negotiation that I have a list that the Environment Committee is trying to get, and that's one of the priorities. The helium, not that it affects you up here, but it's still at play. We're still trying to get the permitting for that. It should fall into place. Everything should be okay. I think that's why the senators trying to call me, because there's two parts to the bill. There's the tax part and then the regulation part. The DNR really needs us to do the regulation part. Other folks want the tax part. I don't want the tax part. I want the regulation part so that we can move forward. And the Senate Democrats want the tax part and not the regulation part. So we're all out there swinging at each other, trying to figure out what's going to come out of it. The mining, I just saw this Business North, the Mesabi Metallics actually looks really good. I think we have a really good chance of that coming through. It's got a lot of legs this time, a lot of energy, a lot of people are supporting it, and I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a really good. They won some court cases trying to get more land and get themselves, so hopefully that'll help. Not too public news, but I can talk about it. LP might be firing up the Cook plant for smart siting. How does it affect these folks up here? Supposedly, it's everybody's been in communication. I was going to go and talk with PCA folks after this meeting, and I'm stuck between a rock and a hard spot whether I talk about this publicly or not. Do I sit here all day and not say anything to you, to go see them, then come back and say, oh yeah, by the way, it's public now, but it's slowly creeping its way out. It's because we don't have it. It's not gonna open because Wawa, they have a site in Wawa, Ontario, around Lake Superior. LP, they're either going to go in Cook or in Wawa. And right now, Wawa is offering a lot of dollars and no permitting. and we're offering a lot of dollars with permitting and trying to get the state of Minnesota. The problem we have with the state of Minnesota is this, and it is only us, the other states around us don't. Let's say I want to start a paper mill out in the middle of nowhere. In order to start that paper mill, I have to have the permit that says the paper mill can operate before I can start construction. Other states, you can build it and work the permitting while you're building it. Minnesota, you can't. You can't do anything till you have the final permit in hand, which is 2+ years away. No one is going to invest $700 million not knowing whether or not they can get a permit or not. It's just not going to happen. That's the problem with Minnesota. And all the eco nuts will go running around saying, that's why we have such everything. No, we're in the hole. Sorry. We need this. We have to have this. This is, we have a resource that you can drive around and see all the trees fall down and blow down, and there's no use for them. There's nothing. And it's like we need to find somewhere to put this stuff. Whether it's a pellet plant or whether it's it's not press board, it's smart siding. So it's not competition with them per se, but the wood competition. And right now they had a heck of a good year, because of the wood. They got wood sitting all over the place. Everywhere you drive around, you see piles of wood because they have no room here. So it's boom and bust. But we've been assured by Minnesota DNR that there is enough wood and that we can contract this out and we can start. This is something that they've met with the governor, the MPCA commissioner, the DNR, and everybody's giving them the thumbs up. Let's go. We just need to fix the permitting thing. And that's another call that Grant, we're hot and heavy on, because he's on that committee, in the conference committee. I'm not on an environment conference committee. I'm not part of that, although I do talk to the chair. And I'm part of this process, but being there is a big thing. I was on Legacy Committee. I'm the co-chair of Legacy, and that's the 3/8 of a cent sales tax. So, yeah, we have there's a lot of good things. I'm blessed for the roles that I play at the legislature. I sit on Legacy, which is the money from the 3/8 of a cent sales tax. It's always going to be there no matter what. There's always going to be a pile of money to spend and go to the projects. And we can support what we want and we can not support what we want. So I'm always trying to get more for everyone up here, obviously. And I sit on capital investments, which right now, because of the politics, the capital investments bill could not happen. It might not happen this year. If it does happen, the negotiation tool to get it to happen is, instead of giving individual members, every member or whoever wants money for their projects in their district, we are so woefully behind in water and wastewater projects that the leaders in the legislature are hoping, and if the negotiation tool we have to do is we're going to give all the money to Public Finance Authority. We'll give them $200 million and let them spend it on the projects that they rate projects 1 through 1,000, whatever. And however many projects, they start at 1 and they go through it. When it's gone, it's gone. Or more than anything, who's ready? Some of these projects, and this is our problem in the state of Minnesota, we have cities that come in and say, hey, we need a new wastewater plant. Okay, here's $8 million. Okay, thank you. 2 years later, it's like, hey, how's it coming? Oh, we're going to start next year. It's like, wait a minute. And that $8 million, it counts against the money you can borrow next year. So it's kind of like, what are we doing? Why are we letting you hold this money this long? Once it's gone and spent, then it's off the books, and then we can borrow more. So anyway, all these little things that are happening, I sit on that committee, and there's a good chance. Whether it's this year for I-Falls, I would more than likely, if a bonding bill happens this year, it's going to be for just not very many personal projects. At least that's the plan. Next year, there's a chance that we'll have 1.2 billion. Right now, we have 700 million. Next year, we'd have 1.2 billion, and the local projects for the legislators have a way better chance of passing with that. So if I could tell my communities, International Falls, Grand Marais, they have a wastewater plant that they need money. We're just like, hey, if you can just cool your jets, next year it looks like has a really good chance of getting project money. Whether or not, again, I can't promise you that, but I can tell you it's better than this year. This year doesn't look good, but again, could happen. Anything could change. I'm trying to think what else happened down there that affected the Sustainable Forest Initiative. Kind of a big deal. Mopus has a lot of land around here. Is that how you say it? Mopus.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they have a lot of land. We have a lot of trails that go through their land. The governor wants to cut $34 million from the sustainable forest. If that gets through, most of the big landowners that get money for allowing the public to use their private property will not allow the public on anymore. And that means we have to find new routes for trails, which is millions and millions and millions of dollars out of the way. So again, that might have been one of the calls, because Grant and I are working on a workaround. I'm trying to get tax chairs and everybody involved saying, hey, listen, if there's a public trail on a sustainable forest that we are paying these companies money not to allow the public on, can we pull those out and not cut them, or cut them smaller than everyone else, so that we can keep those private properties that the public is genuinely using? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Those are all at play right now. Within a week, we'll know what's going on. Hopefully, it's been hectic, busy. The fires are pretty much the one fire is contained. The one on the east side, quite honestly, it could burn more towards the North Shore and it wouldn't hurt anything. It would clean up a lot of the forest, but you don't let forest fires. I mean, the Forest Service knows this. You just want to burn a little, and pretty soon the whole works is gone. So it's done its job. It's burnt out. It's wrecked a lot of people's lives down there. I toured it. Representatives Leslie Carr and I went. We were there twice, and we toured the fire scene once, and it's pretty devastating. A lot of just people's homes and and then the next one down the road, there's fire all around, and the house is standing there. Fire's weird. Fire does what fire does, and so we're going to see what we can do to help. The governor yesterday declared a peacetime state of emergency. That was one of the texts I just sent, was to my comms writer saying, hey, can you get a press release out supporting that? Because it's needed. The county gets reimbursed. All the local fire departments get reimbursed, that sort of thing. And everyone that's been part of the fire can get their money back for their efforts. What else? There's just a lot going on. The bridge, I got my eyes on that, on the railroad bridge, trying to work across the Rainy River, trying to make sure that they don't build a dam, per se. If you put bigger piers, you got more water impeding. We got to figure out how not to create that. I know the folks that went to D.C. yesterday, they gave, I was busy, I couldn't be on the call, but I got the heads up of what their point was going to go down there, and I reminded them. I said, remember, we passed a law in Minnesota that says frozen water is not land, it's water. Mm-hmm. And so the federal government wanted to declare frozen water as a land extension, and we kind of made a law that said you can't say that. It doesn't. So hopefully, but it sounds like common sense is actually winning out on that issue. So we'll see how far. Hopefully we can curb it and not let it come back again. Other than that, there's a lot going on. I could go down my mind is trying to picture what would affect you guys here. And the AIS, the governor wanted to cut the AIS, invasive species, the water. And we're holding strong on that. We're not going to back down on that. The only one we backed down on was the sustainable forest. We let them cut that, and it affects me, the district I represent, a lot more than most. And I've been very vociferous to both Democrat and House tax chair, talk to them, and the Senate tax chair. We're trying to do a carve out so that, because otherwise. And the PILT, payment in lieu of taxes, the governor wanted to cut payment in lieu of taxes. We're trying to negotiate that out because that's, I think, 20%? If PILT gets cut, you guys, your property taxes go up 20%?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's a big number. And it affects a lot of people. Again, the Metro, what do they care? They get nothing. I had a bill this year that was going to change the formula for PILT. So all the state land that has water, lakeshore, watershore, that's PILT, actually gets $40 an acre instead of $4, because in central southern Minnesota, if you have PILT land, it's $40 an acre, and it's kind of like that's a substantial amount of dollars that we would receive. And when the governor came out and said, "I'm going to cut PILT," and I'm there with a bill saying, "No, we need more PILT." Yeah, it wasn't going very far. Let's just say that, But I tried, and again, I'll keep trying. That's one of those things that again, we're blessed because we have what we have up here, but we're cursed because we don't have what they have.
Yeah.
So, make the best of what you have. And wetlands issues. I got a call from a person up around this area that is trying to get a business started, and I'm going to try. After I'm done here, I'm going to go to Bowser, go to the county, and talk to folks about how we can get this project move forward. It's a good project. It's those little home runs that you guys get around here add up, and I was talking to a person the other day saying, man, I Falls is dying, and and I'm like, no, it's not. I go, maybe to you it is. I said, you ever been to Green Tech? And they're like, what's that? I go, there's your problem. You're just looking at something, you don't even know what the heck is going on in this town. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of good things happening. They're just not, $700 million projects. And those are rare. Those don't come. And one of the reasons that we are looked at that LP plant and Wawa is we both are in a huge aspen area, and they need aspen. They don't need pine. They're not in competition with any of that stuff. They just need aspen and a little bit of birch, but not much. That can still all go up here. Everything, the birch and maple or whatever they use up here, pine and aspen, everything. So, but it's hopefully we can get everything together and keep going here. I know housing is big, and we need to get housing in this community because I'm trying to find the feng shui. We got this. You got I Falls, Two Harbors, Ely, Grand Rapids, Grand Marais. Grand Marais is getting almost 200 units of housing in the next 2 years. They aggressively went at it a bunch of years ago, and they're kind of not okay, but they're in a better place than most. So, but you guys are on one of my top, if not the top list, trying to get housing for here. Ely's going to get one now. They were all lined up to get one last year, and then the application was done wrong, which when they went to the agency, they found out that the application wasn't done wrong, that maybe they misinterpreted the application, so they found money to help it, so that one will go through more than likely. And now that one's off my back, so I can concentrate, and I'm trying to find housing. But I know when I door knock around here and I look at your community and I see the housing stock that you have and the way you're growing and everything you need, it's like, let's try to concentrate, because I know the council it's a priority to you guys. So we only have 16 million, but it only takes $1 million here and $1 million there. I don't need all 16. I just need a little bit to help you guys. So
For sure.
yeah, that's going to be the goal. And the advantage you have with me, more say, is I have the IRRB at the rest of the area that can help, and you don't. So I look at you guys as like I can help you. We're putting $7 million into helping housing down there, plus the state, whatever the state has. So it's anyway, yeah. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Thank you. I'm sorry I went too long. Yes, and I do wear the hat and all that stuff, Mike. 'Cause I was going to wear my sport coat and all that, and I'm like, you know what? Not today.
And Representative, be careful because Mike might find gold after all.
And I told the IRRB Ruckavina Commissioner, I said, you do know I'm really pushing hard for Cooch County to find gold. And they're like, why? And I said, well, then they get to join the IRRB, and then they're going to be part of us again, like, and then she's like, well, as long as they contribute. I go, well, there's a lot of contribute. I go across the river. They got a gold mine up there, and it's going well. So, but
Sure. Well, find the gold in Silverdale to begin with. That's IRRB country, right?
Yeah. And hospitals. We did a huge bill. It got included in Grand Marais. They have a unique situation. They have a hospital and a nursing home together, and when they run out of room in the hospital, they go into the nursing home and they get these beds. But the government, both federal and state, will not reimburse them. So we changed the law to allow this unique situation to occur, that they will start getting reimbursed for using those swing beds. And if that works, I'm going to start looking around at, I know Big Fork has that. Cook has that. Ely has that. And I'm going to see if it's working, because the Metro chair got on my bill after Kimber presented it from Grand Marais. He said, this is a good solution to this problem. And I'm like, it's not mine, it's Kimber's. This is her business. She's a hospital administrator. She's just trying to figure out how to make it work. So the communities like I Falls, that is 6,000 people, or is it 6,2 or whatever it is, 5,2, 5,800. But in the summer, you're what, about 12? Something like that, 10, 12. So those folks need hospital, they need EMS, they need all those things that 5,800 pay for. And is that fair? I don't think it is. I think the communities that grow like this, the state should be helping some way.
And that's one of my arguments about LGA too. You come from the cities, you expect all those same services, but we don't have, or anybody, not necessarily the city, but other places, and that's how we can have some of them.
And the LGA is part of that. So there's police and fire protection and that. But, your fire protection, everyone pays part of that insurance there goes into the fire department to use the local. So, but it's good to hear you guys are working together on the law enforcement issue. I think that's positive. I think that's a good, if you can make that happen. I use I Falls as a unique situation, as it is the county seat of a county that if you tax the county, then everyone in the city is getting taxed. And if the city taxes the city, then, it's double taxed. So you got to try to figure out this, we got to try to figure out how this is going to work, because unless we get more jobs and we get more people moving through, this is going to be sustaining the way it is. And it's going to be tough, because the cost of doing business is going up. All right. I apologize again. I'm 20 minutes too long.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the update. The next meeting, we're looking at June 18th is the third Wednesday. Any,
That'll work for me.
10 a.m.?
10 a.m. Are we looking at out county soon?
Well, I think we certainly could. June's a lovely time to be in Birchdale. What do you think, Mike?
I'm
anytime.
gone. I'm gone I'm gone from basically June 11th till the 27th. I'm guiding, so I got a couple of trips back to back. You guys do whatever you got to do.
June 18th?
We'll let you know if we spiked gold.
Yes. Oh, I'm sure we'll find out.
Should we call it Birchdale?
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
All right.
No snow to fight. Yeah. And we'll meet at the community center there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Bandit's gonna.
I listened to
be bad.
Garage Logic coming up on May 20th in 1896. They had 3 inches of snow. And I remember being in May fishing
Snow,
with
yeah.
snow on the 10th in the morning, an inch or two. So it does happen.
We had snow here on Saturday or Sunday morning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good. The 18th, 10 o'clock at Birchdale. Okay.
Correct.
That works
Right.
for everybody? Could I, Mr. Chair, just
Yeah.
one last thing? Because we talked about people in the community. When is the PCA shut down?
Right now? Or is it coming up soon?
Coming up.
Is
It's
it
the first week of June.
first week in June? Okay.
When?
First week of June, I believe.
A lot of people in town, so. Okay.
All right.
Whoop. AIS is back on the table for getting cut. That
Aquatic invasive.
aquatic invasive species. Yeah.
For people who would like to stay and get regular updates from the legislature,
Yes.
Yeah.
feel free.
What sense does that?
Otherwise, this meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.